Hello, this is Diane with Diane's Blue Hearts and Butterflies.com, and my classes for August, or my class for August, have been wanting to share kind of some simple elegance using just black and white with a pop of color. And this card is a center step card, and this technique has been around for a long time. I saw one that Lisa Curcio had done, and so I used her measurements. But it's a really great way to use just the black and white and add some color with either cardstock or gems or the ink. Another demonstrator that I was watching do cards with the color and contour set. She had tried it out with the black, and then she tried it just doing with the color again, and it's kind of how you preference to do that. But I just wanted a little bit of pop of color, and so that's what I used here on these. So the bundle for color and contour is what I used for the cards for this for August class, and this bundle can be found in the main catalog on page 98, and it comes with a great set of dies. Only 2 of them actually cut out any of the flowers. The rest of these can be used for any other type of stamping that you want. And it has some really great sayings and fonts. And so I wanted to point that out. Also, I learned watching someone that there is a pack of paper. This is in the host, where you can host and earn by placing a minimum $150 order. You get to choose an item out of this section and have that come out of your Stampin' Rewards that you can earn. So you can host a party, or you can just place an order over $150. And this paper on 171 is called Pattern Party. One side of the sheet is black and white, and there's several different designs. And then the other side of that sheet is a color pattern. So it can be used for many different things, but I thought, and it's a very thick pack. It has 48 sheets in it, so, and they're double-sided. And so that's what I primarily used. I noticed in the, if you wanted to make one of these type cards with kind of the silvers and grays, there is also on page 37 in the July through December mini catalog on this what is it called? Peaceful Place Designer Series paper. Has a lot of Christmas trees and snowflakes, and it's got some wood grain and some other types of things. And some of these sheets actually have like a little bit of silver in them, so that's really kind of helps that to pop. And so I was showing that. Also in the celebration, which goes August and September, there's a black and white paper pack in here that you can earn free with a $50 Stampin' Up! Merchandise purchase, and it's called Beautifully Penned. And one side has more of the darker prints, and on the other side is more of the lighter prints, but it is all shades of black and white and gray. So that one could be also used for the black and white with a pop of color. So I wanted to share those. And I also did another thing in the, get that back over here, the celebration for August and September. One of the free things that you can earn if you host or place a minimum $150 order is you can get this stamp set called In Your Words for free as an extra host benefit. And it's only for those people that do that. You enter this number in the rewards spot for what you earn. And that stamp set is something that I did get some of my words from, especially the ones that I'm going to use on the card today. And there's so many wonderful little just friendship and encouragement and just some wonderful uplifting type words. So these are the products that I did use. And so let's get out the parts and pieces that we'll need. So the base of the card is basically the 4 1/4 by 11. I'm gonna help with the scoring and cutting on this, showing that. You're going to need, excuse me, on the front center part of the card, which is this part right here, you're going to need a color cardstock piece that is 2 1/8 by 4 3/8, and then the black and white designer series paper of your choice, you can choose whichever you want, is 2 by 4 1/4, and that layers together. You're also going to need a scrap piece of white cardstock to stamp your flower on, and then you'll use the die to cut that out, and you can either pop it up or you can just glue it straight down onto the front of this center part. You'll also need a piece for the inside that is 4 by 4 1/4. You're going to want to make sure that when you go to stamp on that, that you're putting the 4 inch across the top and bottom and the 4 1/4 down the sides, because if you don't, then it's going to end up being too big on the sides and too short on the top and bottom. So you'll want to make sure that you have that as the 4 and the 4 1/4 that way. And then the 2 pieces for the sides, and you can choose whichever side of the paper you want on the sides. You'll need 2 of each of these, so 1 for each, they mirror each other. The cardstock piece is 7/8 by 4 1/4, and then the color, the black and white cardstock, is 3/4 by 4 1/8. And like I said, two of those, and you'll put those together there. And then this bottom piece down here for your saying, it is the color cardstock is 7/8 by 4 1/8, and then the designer series paper is 3/4 by 4. And you'll be stamping, or you can stamp a message on here as well as on the inside, which I'm going to do. You can use black ink, or you can use the color again to do that. So I'll put these pieces off to the side, and we can go over how to score and cut this piece. Get my trimmer out here. And again, all of the measurements are over on my blog at www.dianesblueheartsandbutterflies.com. I will also upload the YouTube videos so that I can have those there for you to watch and be able to see these. So on the base, you're going to want to turn it so that it is kind of in portrait, so that the long side goes down and then the short side is across the top. And I do work with the measurements on this side so that I can hold the cardstock on the other side, because I am right-handed, so I tend to need to be able to grab the paper with my left hand. So I'm going to line this up at 1 inch along this side. And this one you're going to cut. And one good thing about the trimmer from Stampin' Up! Is there's also measurement guide along here. It's a lot easier to see on lighter colored or brighter colored cardstocks than the dark ones. I know one person had kind of put a piece of white paper that they kind of glued in to under here so that they could see those. But if you pay close attention and you get up real close, you can still do that. So you're going to line up the blade at 1 inch, and there is a little kind of a mark right in here that lets you know that you're lined up with that. So I kind of hold it up so I can see that. And then you're going to go down to 6.5. And I'm just going to put my finger there, since this is a darker color cardstock, so I can see or know where I need to go down to. So I'm going to push that down and cut from 1 inch to 6.5 inches. And then I'm just going to lift it straight up. This piece I'm going to flip over because I want to start the 1 inch at on the same end. So I don't want to flip it around or anything. I just want to flip it over. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to repeat, lining this up at the 1 inch mark. Now this, I've already got it at the 6.5, so I can always just start right here and then go back down to the 1 inch mark. And then I would just pull up and stop. Move that cutting blade out of the way, because now you're going to want to do scoring, which you use the lighter color blade for that. We're going to line it up at the 1 inch mark, and for this we're going to score from the outside to the score line. Then we'll pick it up and we'll start from the outside up here and go down to the score line. So these next few scores that I'm going to show you are on the outside of the score line. There will be one piece in the middle that we will score. So I'm just going to bring that over a little closer. You're going to score, like I said, this is 4 1/4 up to 3 1/4. And then you're going to lift that up. Make sure you line that back at the 1. I moved it around. Move this over, and then you're just going to go down to the 1 and score. Now I'm going to have to flip it completely around because there's not a 2 inches this way. So I'm going to line it up at 2 inches on this other side. And I'm going to repeat and do scoring on that outside area. Then I'm going to do again, line that back up to that. It's just 1 inch piece. Now I'm going to actually, so that I don't have to open this up yet, the next one is at 5 1/2, and this is the one you're going to want to score across the middle. So you're actually going to bring this up to the 1 inch mark, and you're going to go from 1 inch over to the 3 1/4 inch, and just do in between those cut lines. Then the next one you will need to open up the trimmer for, because the next one is at 6 1/2. So the 6 1/2 inch mark is just beyond the darker parts of the trimmer. And again, this one you're going to do the outside 1 inch pieces. So you're going to go over to the 1 inch mark here, then you're going to lift that up, move this over to the outside edge, and you're going to go from 4 1/4 over to 3 1/4. And so it's kind of hard to tell, but I hope that you can kind of see those score lines and the cut lines. Some of mine went a little bit over, but I'm going to be covering it with other cardstock and stuff, so it's not going to really hurt anything. Just need to now work on the fold. So the 5 1/2 that goes through the middle is going to fold up. So that's called a mountain fold. These two at the 6 1/2 are also going to fold up into a mountain fold. The ones down here at the 2-inch mark are going to fold down, which is a valley fold. And then the ones right here at the 1 inch are going to fold up, and that's a mountain fold. So you have a mountain, the valley at the 2, the mountain at the 6.5, and then the mountain at the 5.5. And then you're going to take your bone folder. I'm going to line everything up at the bottom. Looks like I got off a little bit somehow. Probably because I wasn't looking down directly over my trimmer. So you line all that up, and you just take and you're going to use your bone folder to get that all straightened out. And then you're going to want to make sure that you burnish those edges really well. And I also turn it over and do the pieces inside as well, so that you end up with this. So this part is for putting all these pieces on. I did want to cover a little bit of the stamping pieces, but then I'm gonna, in the interest of time, I want to go ahead and get a few other, I've got a few other things already stamped and cut out and ready to go. So here I'm going to use the polished pink. This is one of the newer in colors for 21-22, and this piece, or sentiment that I'm going to use, it says, "I see you and you are wonderful." And then on the inside I'm going to put, "Hope this card makes you smile." And it's just something that you can give to someone at any time. It doesn't have to be a special occasion. And I'm going to do it in the color because I'm hoping, excuse my head if it gets in the way, I'm hoping that it will be able to brighten someone's day. And then I'm also going to do this in the color. You could do them in black, is fine. And so there are those things stamped. And that was something else I was going to share. On my color and contour, let me grab the stamp just a moment. I wanted to share a tip with you that I figured out because I wanted to make it easy each time that I was going to use this stamp set and die set. So I found a place on the outline stamp where I could find that piece and line up the rest of the other watercolor kind of background stamp and also the die to fit it. And so I made a mark, and I made the mark on the back side of the stamp instead of the front side, just with a Sharpie on that one place. And then I took and I lined up this stamp so that it best captured where the double were together and the longer ones. And I went ahead and I made another mark on this one underneath at the same place so that it would make it easier to line up. Now they're not exact because this is meant to be more of a watercolor type background. And then this one I also lined up with it. I think I did it this way and found out where it fit. And then I also put a Sharpie marker piece right there, so that when I'm using these, I can kind of line up all three of those marks and be able to cut them out easier. So I wanted to share that with you because it sure did help me in being able to use that particular stamp. The other one is fine the way it is. So now we've got all these pieces, And on this set, I've already gone ahead and cut out the flower. So I'm gonna use this one, and I've got some pieces already ready. So let me go ahead and use this one to put together to make it go a little bit faster. And I'll get some of the adhesive runners, and I should have probably already gone ahead and glued these pieces together. The color pages that I used for a majority of the black and white on this card did come from that pattern party pack, and it's really pretty. So glue that on, and then all the pieces kind of correspond with their backing cardstock with a small border. And so just trying to put all those together. And I prefer using the Stampin' Seal Plus. It tends to work better for me. I'm still trying to train myself how to use the Stampin' Seal, because I have a problem with how I tear it or take it up, and it tends to get clogged or not get down where I need it. So I'm still learning on it. Now with the Stampin' Seal Plus, if you get some over the edge, you can just take and fold that over, and then you just put it down. Also, the Stampin' Seal Plus tends to stay longer and doesn't peel off so much. So I happen to have this little flower star looking thing from a paper pumpkin, and this is kind of how you fix boo-boos when you're stamping something. And I accidentally had some ink on my finger and I got some there, so I just kind of covered it up with a cute little embellishment that was kind of flat. And I'm sure everybody has embellishments in their stash. It could be a sequin, or it could be a little butterfly, even if you wanted to stamp one on there. So this one, this thing goes underneath where the 6.5 inch score line is and towards the bottom, and then that just folds in this way. And then you have the center part. I did it again. The Stampin' Seal Plus is just more forgiving for me, because I do have little errors and boo-boos. My vision's not like it used to be when I was younger. So this one goes up towards the top. You kind of pretend that the line goes across here, and so the border kind of goes right around that. And then the side pieces, you'll need to open this up so that you can put this all along that side between the 6.5 inch score lines and the 2 inch score lines. Oops, this one. Oh, I just ran out of that one. It's a good thing I have another one right there waiting. And this one goes the same way between the 6.5 and the 2 inch score lines. And this one I used from Happy Thoughts, which just retired with this last catalog, but I really liked the sentiment. And then I had another Just Because from another retired set. There are so many word stamps and sentiment stamps in the current catalog. So if you don't have any of these types of things in your stash, you could always get a stamp set that has some words that you really like and that convey the messages you want. And so there, that goes on the bottom. And then I'm going to use some mini Stampin' Dimensionals up on the top part up here. I may have to cut some of these. That's the wondrous thing about these dimensionals, is you can always cut some in half to use in a couple of places. So I'm going to use half of this one on this leaf. Well, if I can get it off my finger. And then this half up here on this bud at the top. And I think I've got another half right here that I could put on this one. And then another half kind of stick right down there. Okay. So I appreciate you taking time to watch my video and share this love of stamping with me. I enjoy watching other demonstrators and the ideas, either old techniques that they remember and learn, fun folds and stuff, or creating the new ones so that we can all enjoy the fun and magic of card making and helping to bring a little bit of happiness and joy to somebody's life, because everybody enjoys receiving mail, and if that mail is kind of fun and exciting or opens up or pops out or something, it really does kind of help brighten their day. So these are also some gems that I have in my stash from a couple of catalogs ago, but I wanted to use them up. So you can use pearls, you can use rhinestones, you can use some other colored dots that measure or match the color that you're wanting to use. But it even though it's monochromatic type coloring, it still really is pretty. So I wanted to just kind of share that. And if you don't have the black and white paper, you can always use one of your stamp sets and just use the black ink on white and create your own. But that's kind of a really neat way of making a card that can be stood up on a desk or a shelf, and somebody can enjoy looking at it and knowing that you were thinking about them for whatever occasion or just because. So I appreciate you taking the time, and please check out my blog for the measurements of this. Thank you.